All right. So the human edge. It's interesting that this topic was assigned to me because as much as I'm giving providing insights, I'm also struggling with this part because of what's happening right now, age of intelligent threats, AI. I think much has been said earlier about this. Let me see if I could add more to the discussion. So annually, we do a workforce study in ISC2. And latest is 2025, December. And you could actually download this. There's a QR code, something that you could use to your management, to your boards, when you're discussing about culture, about organization. When you're going to ask for more people. In the study, we realized that the cybersecurity function, while the threat landscape is evolving, but the resources to run a cybersecurity program is also dwindling in a way. Bigger expectations, but resources are being cut for some reason. Also, it's not only a matter of having the right number of people in your organization, but with the right skills. Cybersecurity teams right now, we need people who would know AI and also in cloud. Those are the two topmost skills being required by us, by cybersecurity organizations. And they're saying that it's better to have a smaller team with the right skills than having a big team that would not have that same level of skills. I think much of the discussions also are saying that AI is an enabler, it's an accelerator actually. But later on, I'll be discussing also the other side of the scale when we are saying AI is also a threat. And sometimes we get mixed up. Is AI an enabler or is it a threat? Actually, it's both. It's both, right? And that's, I think, one of the realizations or the lack of realization that our management and board would have right now. And hopefully after this, we get to have more insights to go to them and say, hey, it's both. It's both. It's both a threat and it's also an enabler. We do a lot of studies in IC2. These are all global. And this survey, 856 participants. In those two numbers, 65, 62%, this just gets to show that AI is heavily being used in cyber operations. 65 said we're spending more time in deciding if we will trust AI or not. 60% said that we would like to validate the output of AI. So it means they're using, right? I think that's the point of these numbers. 56% of what is being reduced. Unfortunately, there's a view that entry-level positions are at risk and being instead supported, accelerated by AI. So I think that is an opportunity for us to think, sit down, how do we use our juniors in our cybersecurity organization so that they will not be eaten up by AI. Because from what it looks right now, that those repetitive mundane tasks that we used to assign to our junior cybersecurity professionals, that would be replaced. So we have to think how best to transform those entering the workforce into this AI-enabled situation. Okay. So I think that's a nice insight, especially for schools. If you have this internship partnership with schools, or if you have input as a board of advisor in the academic program, it's a good input. And much has been said, human in the loop. I was in the waiting room and I heard about human in the loop, or variations of human being part of the process. Okay? And I guess it sounds like a cliche, human in the loop, human in the loop. But at the end of the day, if I were an analyst, I would like everything to be autonomous, right? Makes my life easier. But the problem with autonomous AI is the readiness of the process, of the data, of the organization. Because if you're not ready and you go autonomous, it's like autonomous driving here. FST, no? In Tesla cars here in Manila. If the infrastructure is not ready, then you'll be heading for a disaster. So I think that's also a hint. We should give management that, hey, don't. I know that the promise of AI is surmountable. It's considerable, but then we should, carefully think about it, how to go about that transition. We talk about agentic. Oh my, I'm about to make my own agentic AI, given our license for this, for our partner. All of us, my colleagues, would have the ability to create agents in our workplace. So probably reject emails or something like that are nuisance, or based on my pattern of reading. If I just see an FYI on top, I will not read it, right? If there's no context. So, but there are more opportunities for agentic. But then, I think also, from an agentic perspective, we have heard about the agentic threat actors. Correct? Jade Puffer. Somebody must have mentioned that earlier. Jade Puffer, one of the very first, or if not the very first known, reported agentic threat actor was able to facilitate a ransomware. It wasn't perfect in its initial onslaught of the exploit, but then it somehow adjusted to the situation. If this vulnerability won't work, how about combining two low vulnerabilities or three low vulnerabilities with a medium vulnerability? So it adapted. It adapted to the situation and what it knows. It was able to facilitate a whole ransomware kill chain. Autonomous, agentic. So on the enablement side, agentic is there to help us, but also from a threat actor side, agentic is also being used by these threat actors. ATA, agentic threat actors. This is also a concern. How do we govern AI right now? I think many of us are holding on to the sleeves of our IT folks and say, hey, slow down a bit. We still don't know yet how to go about this. Do we even have inventory of these AI assets running in our organization? Or is anyone allowed to create AI? Or probably somebody has given a platform for everyone to be innovative, creative. It's the value of AI right now. Make it available to everyone so everyone could be more effective, productive. But governing it, do we have the structure? One thing that I believe in this AI consideration is, from a cybersecurity perspective, if your identity governance is good, if your data protection practices is also good, then AI, using the data, using the environment, just like any other user, right, would be better managed. So there's a step back. There's a step back in managing cybersecurity risk with AI. We have to look at our identity practices and data protection. I think those are two initial fundamental considerations so that we could manage AI. So I think this is my last slide. Sorry, it's overlap a bit. When Mythos preview was announced last April, actually, we and EY, being a global firm, were one of the organizations who were notified about it. We were not part of the Project Glasswing, the first 12 or even the first 150. But then we were made aware early about Mythos. And then we also know that after a few months, last month, variants, regional variants of cyber frontier AI models, such as similar to Mythos, came out also. So as a global team, we have to put our heads together. How do we solve an asteroid going to hit Earth? That's how we felt. It's an asteroid going to hit Earth. And only those who are privileged, those in the 15, those in the 150, in the Project Glasswing, get the opportunity to be in the bunker. Right? But my clients here, my customers, my colleagues in the industry, how do we protect ourselves if we're not in the bunker? Right? So we put our heads together. And you know, something that you could bring to your board also, management, told this to Hans a few days ago, that, you know, it's not the shiny red Ferrari that our board and our management expects. Unfortunately, that's the kind of messaging that we have to adjust. Because they might be saying that, hey, Mythos is here. And I know some of you got emails from your certain board of directors, Auditcom, or risk management saying, hey, what are we doing here? Somebody sent me this email. It's scary, right? But one messaging I think that we could give is, okay, it will be under control, but don't expect a red, shiny Ferrari. Because the threat of AI is fundamentally a race condition issue. And when I say race condition, it's speed. And it's more effective. What took a manual tester to exploit the vulnerability for months, now it's in just seconds. That is the parity. That is the parity that we're talking about. But is the exploit different? No. Is the vulnerability different? No. It's just the speed. It's a race condition issue. If your fundamentals in vulnerability management, layered architecture, data protection and identity, third-party risks, secure SDLC, and your resilience is working, you do testing every now and then, and that you're effective. If these fundamentals are okay, you just have to amp it up in terms of speed, because it will be AI versus AI. Okay. So going back, I think the messaging here is to go back to your fundamentals. If right now, even with traditional attacks, you are struggling, you are going to struggle 100, 200 times more when these cyber frontier AI models would come out publicly. Therefore, I think the budget that you're asking for DevSecOps to manage vulnerability management, now is the time to ask for that. The budget you're asking for Zero Trust, now is the time to ask for that. The budget you're asking for IGA and to do cleanup first, all the accesses, now is the time to ask for that. An asteroid is coming, going to hit us. And there's nothing else that we can do about it but just to minimize the risk. So I'm closing right now. I'm hungry as well. But AI or these threat models are both an ally and it is a threat. Thank you. Happy to answer questions.
All right, thank you, Philip. So one of the things that I saw in your slides is you said that skills now matter more than headcounts. We do have smaller organizations. So for organizations like ours, how can we now balance AI adoption while we're developing people or with developing people?
I think it's not something that's sequential. It has to be done in parallel for now. It will be like baking a cookie. It has to be mixed together. The bitter, the sweet, water, it has to be all together. It's messy. We are in that situation right now that it's really not a clear defined. Step 1, step 2, step 3. I think as leaders, given this complexity, we rise up to the challenge and to see how we attack this complexity. People, process, tools, etc. And it will not be a perfect phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, but it might require a linear approach. It might require you to go back in circles a couple of times, then go up and go down. But I think it's just we need to have a program, whatever the form of that program is, just to imbibe the culture, alignment closer to an AI-enabled organization. So could be a couple of things like what we do in the firm. We have contests, innovation contests. What's the best prompt, or what's the best agentic AI that you made, or outside of those creating agentics, did you create any machine learning model that we can use we could measure efficiency, effectiveness. We also somehow force our people to attend courses. We have unlimited access to those web-based learnings. And we do also brown bag sessions to discuss what are those things that we could do to somehow adapt to this new workforce, to this new working environment.
It's constant adoption in the same way that AI keeps on evolving. Unfortunately, we have to keep on adapting the workforce as well, right? Another thing I saw on your slide, which I found quite interesting, is AI is everywhere, but controls nowhere. That line really hit me hard because it is a reality for a lot of organizations. So what do you think is really the biggest mistake that organizations make when they're getting their workforce AI ready? Where do they fall short?
I think people will just focus on the benefits. It's blinding, actually. If you talk with with these AI vendors, right, and with any solutions provider, even consultants like me, it's blinding. Because if you say AI is how we're going to solve the problem, yes, definitely. But I think it's the readiness, people, culture, data, processes. Because just like during the digital transformation phase that we had a few years ago, that everyone started to jump into it, but they're not ready. They're not ready. A lot of things are still manual. So I think those are key considerations. Readiness. There has to be some kind of readiness assessment, I think.
I think it's interesting because earlier Rookie mentioned that some board members will think that AI is the magic pill that will solve all of our problems. So now there's this, you have to do it fast. Now it becomes a readiness question, right?
If you're saying that you're not going to adopt AI and your business will survive, okay, depending on the business, but good luck. Okay, your competitors will eat you up sooner or later. But then it's a future that is certain and we have to prepare about. I think that's also one reality that we have to share with our stakeholders.
All right, thank you very much. Again, unfortunately, we are running out of time. It was again a pleasure talking to you, having Philip with us this morning. Do we have any other questions from the floor? Maybe one more?
Short one with I think from the board perspective, it's an inescapable elephant in the room because AI is now become a social utility. UNESCO in its, I think, last month, has compared it to the time that when internet was booming. We're not within that global social phenomenon that we're experiencing, that everyone want to know about AI. So you'll be expecting from someone from the executive, from the board, asking right field, I want something for this from my company. So for us, actually, there's no really specialization right now in the world who was really the doctors of AI. The doctor of AI right now, you see some universities are just planning up, launching their programs right now. But to tell you the truth, the papers that are being launched by either Anthropic or OpenAI is still half true. We still haven't marched that yet. So that's why discussions like this, communities like this, we have to equip ourselves on a communal basis. Other organizations in the US right now are putting up some workforce or under both private and public sectors. I know SAT is one of them, leading the way towards something, have a communal understanding of what AI is and what to implement. So I think that's what we need right now.
It was a very, very engaging morning. Thank you very much, Philip. Again, everyone, please give him a round of applause. Thank you for joining us this morning. Your input to the question, which human capability most strengthens resilience in the age of intelligent threats? So we have here understanding the basics, going back to the foundations. Collaboration, and I'm assuming that's communication, common sense, critical thinking, ability to adapt, cyber awareness, adaptive sense, and continuous learning.